All right, it's been an interesting week. We've seen more discourse around the world and, of course, the uncertain nature of AI. And joining me now to discuss is Dr. Karen Sutherland from the University of the Sunshine Coast. It looks like policymakers have been grappling with the promise and, of course, the peril of advanced generative AI. What are we seeing?
There's so much going on. One of the big stories this week is that the UN is actually proposing a unified policy and framework that it's hoping countries around the world will adopt to try and make it a bit more uniform. But in reality, is it actually going to work?
Let's take a listen to a little bit about this from the UN themselves earlier in the year.
It leaves no one behind. It lays the groundwork for AI systems that leave no one behind either. Among other things, this resolution reaffirms that we must focus on capacity building and close the digital divides within and between countries so that everyone can benefit from AI. It emphasizes that no one should use AI to undermine peace or repress human rights. It calls on those creating this technology to be responsible when it comes to developing and launching new capabilities, and to root out bias and discrimination in AI systems.
Okay, so some really noble goals there. Whether or not they can be achieved is something I'm wondering about. What have you seen, if we can expand on this topic?
There seems to be some resistance from the G7 countries and from the EU around this proposal. And they're concerned that it might actually undermine the existing efforts. And they even said it may even align more closely with China's agenda by trying to make it so uniform. The issue is there's a lot of frameworks and guidelines already being developed, and each country seems to be doing its own thing. It's almost like a case of the horse has already bolted. It's already happening. So how can we put it back in the box and now make it a bit more uniform?
Yeah, it'd be a good question for Sam Altman, but let's jump over the page. And I understand that there's pressure to shoehorn the generative AI technologies into areas better served by other forms of predictive AI. What's behind this one? Take us through what you've seen.
Interesting story came out this week just saying that basically in companies, it's the CIOs being given the task of using generative AI to try and solve all problems. And there's a huge enthusiasm. So it's quite polar. So there's some people who are like, let's use generative AI to fix everything. And then there's others that are so petrified of it that won't go near it. But the ones who are enthusiastic, they're not actually thinking of and looking at each challenge or problem on its own and saying, what would be the correct technology to try and help to solve this? They're actually just saying, generative AI, that's the way to go. And so there's a real issue around that.
It's interesting stuff, and I think when we refer to this AI arms race, that people are rushing into these things. We've been talking about it for a few weeks now, and since November 2022, I believe, when ChatGPT rolled out, the world has changed. Right? It's unreal
Absolutely.
to think. But I guess bringing this all to a head, it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Is there anything else you wanted to leave us with today before I let you go?
Just my normal message. AI is wonderful, but yeah, use it cautiously.
Very, very well said by you. Thanks for joining us as always.
Thank you.